So we've reached a ridiculous point in our society. Cancel culture is running rampant. We have no tolerance anymore for differences of opinion, something that we're told makes America great, but at the same time, dissenting voices are shut down. People are told that they can't have that opinion. Your advertisers are going to be pulled. We're going to boycott you. We are going to shut you up. Check your privilege on this episode of The WireTap. Hello everyone, my name is JD.
And this is Logan.
And this is The WireTap. Thank you for joining us today. Cancel culture, it's all around us now.
Hooray!
Hooray! We have, this has come back in fierce fashion. And
in wake of Black Lives Matter.
In the wake of the Black Lives Matter catastrophe, Tucker Carlson, he's been the latest bigwig, big name in conservative media to suffer the threat of having his show canceled.
Oh yeah.
Pulled advertisers and
T-Mobile, Disney, Papa John's, Office Furniture.
All pulled their advertisements from Tucker Carlson's program because of the comments that he made about Black Lives Matter, which
I'll quote them.
We'll quote them in full.
This may be a lot of things, this moment we're living through, but it is definitely not about Black Lives Matter. He went on to say, remember this when they come for you, and at this rate they will.
That's fairly tame. That's a fairly tame statement, and that caused everyone to pull their advertisements from Tucker Carlson's program. And this is kind of something...
It's the exact statement we made just a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
When we talked about Black Lives Matter.
Whenever we talked about Black Lives Matter and the fact that it is not about black lives, and that this movement is not about racial injustice or iniquity. It is to fundamentally usurp what America is from its core, from its root. That is the goal, and replace it with something European-esque, socialist, communist. It is Marxism.
You see that in their autonomous zone that they've created.
And
you want to see what it's all about? There's the fishbowl that it is in.
Yeah. And even there, they can't they can't even perfect what they're doing.
Even there, they are slowly discovering the things that they want to tear down that they actually need.
Yeah.
They're discovering that we need a police force. We need a form of government.
They have... That was a fairly tame statement, and for a nation that's supposed to be all about free speech, whenever it comes to burning the American flag, saying controversial or dissenting with Black Lives Matter is controversial. And all of these companies right now are lining up in a way that I don't remember from 2014. I might be wrong. I just don't remember companies outright pandering to Black Lives Matter the way that they are now in 2014, 2015.
They're just giving that.
I don't remember that. I might be wrong, but I don't remember, at least as widespread as it is, did not happen.
Yeah, the level that it's gone to.
But Tucker Carlson is the latest bigwig falling prey to this. You also have, I believe his name, Mike Bundy, who is an Oklahoma State football coach. Mike Gundy, sorry, who is an Oklahoma State football coach. A photograph of him has surfaced of him wearing a One America News shirt. Him and I think two other buddies who had went fishing, and they had on their table their catch of fish for the day, and he was wearing a OAN, One American News shirt, which is a small conservative news outlet. And he's had to come out. He's had to apologize. He's cried and weeped and moaned and gotten on his knees, kissed the feet, all of that. The same thing with Drew Brees a couple weeks ago, to where he put out a statement about everything that was going on, racial injustice and intention and all that kind of stuff. And that wasn't good enough. What he said wasn't good enough because he didn't outright condemn cops. The same thing happened here in St. Louis with the good old St. Louis Blues and the Cardinals. They put out a statement. It was probably the best statement I've seen. And people were livid. People were so upset at the Blues and the Cardinals here in St. Louis because of their statement that they put out. Because while they said explicitly started with that we do not accept bigotry, we do not accept racism or any of these kind of things. We want to create an environment for all. And with that being said, we thank all of our law enforcement officers that make our events possible. That was the best statement I had seen from any organization thus far at that point. And people were livid and so mad that they didn't come out and just explicitly jump on the bandwagon like all of these other leagues and companies and organizations have of the Black Lives Matter. Just say it. Black Lives Matter.
You've seen the NFL. Roger Goodell, or whatever his last name is, comes out on his hands and his knees just so sorry that he didn't allow these Colin Kaepernick protests to happen. Because
they didn't allow
if Colin Kaepernick, if he would have been allowed to get on his knees, we wouldn't have any of this.
We would have solved racism.
There wouldn't have been protests.
Yeah, there wouldn't have been protests. And as we mentioned last episode, don't worry, Colin Kaepernick is coming back. The subpar, mediocre quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers is coming back better than ever as the social justice guru for the NFL, per Roger Goodell. And you also have, we mentioned this a little bit last time, I think, was the Federalist being demonetized in concert with NBC. And that it's amazing the juxtaposition. And you know what? Kudos. I believe it was Josh Hawley, our good old senator here, who put out a tweet. I tell you what, Josh Hawley.
He's actually
clap for him.
He's been the most surprising. When he was elected in 2018. I wasn't sure about him. I thought that he was maybe just going to go in and just be an establishment guy.
He has actually been pretty impressive, and I'm happy that he's our senator. He ripped on Google, and he was spot on with this in that he finds it interesting, specifically the Section 230 thing, which we mentioned a couple episodes ago with the Trump executive order with Twitter. And social media platforms, and removing Twitter's platform status to where they're not publisher. And he noted an interesting juxtaposition there, and he said it's interesting that Google wants to try to claim that they are not responsible for what users do on their platform, yet Google in this instance holds the Federalist responsible for what their users do in their platform, specifically their comment section. Mm-hmm. To where, in concert with NBC News, they removed Federalist's ad revenue. We're in an all-out war. I mentioned it last time. We are in an all-out cultural war right now. Between it goes so far beyond just Democrat and Republican. It is literally ideological. Ideological war of two competing ideologies that are in no way reconcilable between the far left socialism and communism of the Democrat Party, and over here you have constitutional conservatism, and people, the majority of people, are kind of caught right here in the middle, and they don't know what to do. They're caught in the crossfire. But the thing is that the media is pulling those people further to the left because the media is all in. The media is nothing but a leftist, I don't want to say propaganda, but I mean, in a way it really is. It's leftist activism, I think, is maybe the better way to put it. And that's what pulls people to the left. And that's why you have such support for Black Lives Matter. 67% of Americans support Black Lives Matter. And I guarantee you none of them, maybe not none, a very small percentage, I could probably count them on my hands, know actually what Black Lives Matter stands for and what They do. People have done a little bit of digging, and for an organization that is supposed to be tax exempt, nonprofit, blah 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 blah, people have done some digging and they found, well, look at that. Even on their website, if you look close enough and do the maze and the workaround, you find that they're donating to the Biden campaign, the Sanders campaign. They donated to the Warren campaign and DNC. Total leftist causes.
Well,
all of them.
You're seeing that to where now the leftist causes and all these groups are coming out and they are trying to pull Joe Biden more far to the left on racial issues. They just wrote him a letter. 50 different groups joined together to tell him that you're not doing enough on racial injustice.
And now you have Aunt Jemima.
Oh,
don't worry. All of you who have been so oppressed whenever you put Aunt Jemima on your flapjacks, on your pancakes of a morning, don't worry. I don't even know what company owns Aunt Jemima. Quaker Oats, I think. Whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I use Mrs. Butterworth, so what does it matter? All you fools who put Aunt Jemima on, you enablers of racism, well, no more! Aunt Jemima is going to get rebranding. They're going to have new logos, new names. They're taking Aunt Jemima off the shelves. Like I said, I don't care. I'm using Mrs. Butterworth. Whenever you come after Mrs. Butterworth's, then we're going to have a fight. I don't have a dog in the Aunt Jemima fight. It isn't my preference. And on another front, as we mentioned last time, you have the Chaz, or the CHOP zone. They can't even decide what they're called. Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. And they decided, let's just go with organized protest. It doesn't matter. It's anarchy. It's the usurpation of American law. It's the usurpation of constitutional authority.
Oh, I know. Chaz doesn't sound very authoritative.
And now, they've come out, and there was a video of somebody with a bullhorn. He's up talking, to everyone there, and he invokes the French Revolution, and he talks about the French Revolution, and it was just typical crowd pandering. But in that, he says, what happened to those who opposed the French Revolution? And everyone responds, CHOP, which is a play on the name of their Capitol Hill organized protest, CHOP. But these people are specifically invoking the French Revolution, which I find very interesting. And I don't know if we discussed much of the French Revolution on this program before, but the French Revolution and the American Revolution stand in stark contrast of each other. The French Revolution comes about because of the American Revolution, but the French Revolution spirals out of control into bloodlust and murder. The French Revolution spiraled into a bloodbath, and it was actually a topic of discussion among the founding fathers and those who founded America. It was actually a topic of discussion among them, comparing their revolution to the French Revolution. In that America's Revolution had a purpose. It had a goal, very specific. It was succinct. Its target was the British Empire, usurping their authority and their tyranny over the American colonies. The French Revolution soon lost all purpose, and it became nothing more than bloodlust. Yeah. So it's very interesting that they invoke the French Revolution here in this instance. But don't worry, it's peaceful protest. Don't worry, it's the summer of love, as they say. It's nothing more than a festival. It's like going down to the World's Fair or some crap like that. You can get a pretzel, you can get a turkey drumstick. It's like going to Six Flags. It's like going to an amusement park.
The other night there was a guy
Coney Island
that broke into one of the businesses right outside the CHOP zone, and guys with rifles came out. They beat the living crap out of him, and they left him for dead in the street.
They've taken a 6-block radius, which has been reduced to 3 as of now. They only took a police precinct over, so that precinct has been graffitied, vandalized, all the crap, and it's inside the Chaz or Chop zone.
All these businesses have had to stop production. I mean,
Yeah,
besides,
because
I guess, serving the people that are within the zone.
Because who wants to go to those businesses anyway? And now we have, as we mentioned last episode, we're kind of bouncing off here because this is kind of a continuation of the same sentiment, but with a different focus. Last episode, we focused more on the Supreme Court. This episode, we wanted to focus on a little the other stuff. And that is this Rayshard Brooks situation in Atlanta. And it's another situation to where it is very unfortunate that this individual died. But unlike the George Floyd situation, it is not completely unjustified. This situation is one that was, unfortunately, it was self-inflicted. Let's just be honest here. Mm-hmm. You have a situation, the police officers, they are called to this Wendy's, which was later burned down because Wendy's is the symbol of oppression. Because they called the police. I mean,
it's the square burgers.
I mean, what is the Wendy's supposed to do? Are they supposed to send their employees out to take care of this issue? No, you call the police. What if he's violent? What if he has a gun? What if he assaults one of your employees, murders them in the parking lot whenever they come out there?
That's privilege.
You let the police handle that situation. So they call the police. The police, it's all on body cam. The body cam's already out. You have multiple angles of it, of people in their cars, civilians, looking on at this. You also have the long shots of the dashboard cam, and I assume it might be the building security cam.
I think you have building security cameras,
which is the one that you often see of him running away and then getting shot. That angle. But they're very polite. They're very respectful to him.
They have a conversation for about 20 minutes or so.
They had conversation with him, and all these things. But whenever he fails the breathalyzer, they're like, all right, we're going to have to arrest you. And whenever they start trying to arrest him, he becomes violent. He starts lashing out at the officers. They both have to wrestle him down. And he assaults them multiple times. I believe he punched both of them through the course of this. I think
you see a full-out wrestling match.
But it's a full-on wrestling match between them. He throws multiple punches at the officers. One of them, whose head is driven into the concrete, and then he is able to pull one of the officers' tasers from their belt. So at this point, he is no longer unarmed. This is not an unarmed shooting. He was armed. He had the taser. Now, you might say, oh, it's non-lethal. What does a taser do? It incapacitates, and it has the potential to kill. Mm-hmm. It can. It's not non-lethal. It is less than lethal. But he draws that taser from the officer's belt. He starts to flee. He is shot with a taser, hits him, and it has no effect whatsoever. He doesn't drop. He doesn't do anything. It acts like he doesn't even hit him.
Too intoxicated, I guess.
And yes, he's obviously adrenaline and a mixture of whatever intoxicants he had in his system. So he starts to flee. Now, as I said, there are civilians in the car surrounding him. We have their videos have been released. You can find them on Twitter, social media, whatever.
So now you have an intoxicated man who has a weapon in the middle of a civilized area.
Yes, who has just assaulted these police officers. There's civilians around. He has a weapon, an officer's weapon, and is fleeing from arrest. This is where it becomes very important. If he would have just kept running, and then the officers shot him in the back while he was running away, I would not support this shoot. I would say that this was a bad shoot. You shouldn't have shot him in the back. You should have tried to pursue him. The difference here is that even though he is in the process of running away, he turns around clearly, points, aims, fires the taser at the officer, misses, but immediately after that he is shot and he is killed. Even though that he's running away, he is still actively attempting to assault the officers with a less than lethal weapon.
You can run and shoot at the same time. You can be just as lethal.
He wasn't just turned around and shot in the back. This is not another Michael Brown incident. Which that's what they try to do a lot here is, oh, he was shot in the back. He was turned around actively trying to assault the officers. Sorry. If you would have just went along with the arrest, we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
He probably would have gotten a slap on the wrist. He probably would have been able to post bail. He would have been gone, out of the police precinct.
This would have been nowhere near the issue that it is now, because it unfortunately cost him his life. Going along with the arrest procedure would not have resulted in any way anything that we would be talking about at this moment.
I mean, this goes back to what I was talking about in the last episode, to where you have that 1 in a million chance. And what you're trying to do right now, what the Democrats are trying to do, is they're trying to make that from a 1 in a million to a 0 in a million. And you know what? That's noble. We should try to make it 0 in a million. But when you assault an officer, when you arm yourself, and when you are actively resisting arrest, it's a no-brainer that chance of getting shot, of being hurt, possibly being killed, is going to rise.
Yeah. Whenever you do that kind of stuff, your chances of being seriously injured in these things, or possibly killed, shot by police, rise exponentially. They do. And I saw an interesting thing from Reuters. They had a report I saw from Reuters and Al Jazeera, both such bastions of American liberty. And Reuters put up an analysis to where they said, well, black people are killed at a higher rate than white people with tasers. Here's the thing. They had an analysis of 1,081 people. And they said 32% black people were killed with tasers. 29% of those killed by tasers were white. However, there was another 39% of those that Reuters could not identify the race, because the race was not documented or anything in any way. That's nearly 40% of the cases that you're looking at. You don't know what the race is. And it's only a sample size of 1,081 cases, and 40% of those are thrown away anyway. So 400 of those are just tossed. It's just ignorance, and this is the way that the media manipulates you, and we mentioned this in the last episode. You are the product of media, not the consumer. The media is going to sell you division, they're going to sell you hatred, they're going to sell you all of these things, because that's what sells. You're being duped. You're being duped with the whole systemic racism, with cops disproportionately killing black people and unarmed black men as opposed to white people. You're being duped with all of it.
But it's an easy headline.
It's an easy headline. It's a way to get clicks. And that's their agenda, though. That is the left's agenda. And the media goes along with it. But this agenda is being driven by the radical elements of the left, the extreme fringes, driving this as a way to usurp American authority, traditional America. These people view America as fundamentally flawed because they have to. They have to get everyone on board to where they hate America, so that way they can remake it into a Marxist socialist state. If you look at traditional American values, traditional Americanism, there is no way that and socialism are in any way compatible. So they have to destroy what America is. They have to destroy the image of America so people will go along with it. That's what's happening. That's what we're in the midst of. But we want to thank you for joining us on this episode of the WireTap. Make sure to Follow us on Twitter, capital TC and W. We're at the CWire on Twitter. For Logan, I'm JD saying goodbye, God bless, and we will see you in the next episode. Sunday, Monday, happy day.